engine we adore is a really useful engine, you know, 'cause the fat controller, he told him so. Now he's got a punchline to call his very own. He's the really useful engine we adore. He's the one, he's the number one. Thomas the Tank Engine. He's the really useful engine we adore.
Montague is a little green tank engine, but everyone calls him Duck because they said he waddled. Although Duck doesn't really wobble, he likes Duck better than Montague. One day, Duck was getting ready to leave Napper Station with a passenger train as Gator popped by pulling a small goods train to the docks. Duck was very surprised as he watched Gator going over the intersection and was gone. "Who was that?" he asked. "That was Gator," replied Thomas. "He's one of the engines who work at the Solar China clay pits, but sometimes goes out to do other work." He knows something. Gator has got something very similar as you do. What is it? 2 names. What 2 names? The name that everyone calls him by and his real name, replied Thomas. So let me get this straight. Gator isn't his real name? So what's his real name? I'm not sure, replied Thomas. I kind of forget. It's been a while ever since I talked to Gator about what's his real name, but you can try asking him though if you see him. Suddenly, the guard's whistle blew and Duck puffed out the station. As soon as Duck arrived at Wellsworth, he noticed Gator not too far away, pulling his goods train to the docks. Duck realized this was his chance to have a conversation with him, so he took a deep breath and spoke up. "Hello there," he said. "Oh, hello there, and I don't think we met before. What's your name?" "I'm Duck." "Duck? That's a funny name." "I'm Gator." "Gator? That's a great name for an engine like you." "Well, it is. But the reason why they call me Gator is because they think that my long and slopey water tank makes me look like I'm an alligator." "Well, with that water tank of yours, you definitely look like one. But my real name is Gerald, though. Anyways, I quite like being called Gator." "And do you have a real name too?" "Yes, Montague." "Montague? Very interesting. But why do they call you Duck?" "Because everyone thinks I waddled. I don't really, though, but I like Duck better than Montague." "Well, I better get going. It was nice meeting you. Goodbye, Montague." "See you later, Gerald." Duck and Gator noticed that they called each other by their real names by accident, but the engines don't mind and carried on. That afternoon, as Duck pulled into Wellsworth Station on his way to Knapford, Gator pulled up alongside him. "Hello, I'm sorry about earlier." "What do you mean?" "About calling you by your real name, Montague, instead of Duck." "It's quite all right," chuckled Duck, "and I'm sorry for calling you by your real name, Gerald." Just then, Gator had an idea. "Duck, how about we do this?" "Do what?" "What if you called me by my real name for one whole day tomorrow?" "Well, I'll call you Montague instead of Duck. How's that?" Duck thought for a moment. Then, "Deal accepted," he replied. "Come on, Gerald. Let's go back to Knapford." "Yes, Montague, I'm right behind you." And both of them puffed away back to Knapford. The next day, Gator and Duck called each other by their real names. The other engines soon noticed this, and some of them, like Hank and Murdoch, thought they were just calling each other random names. While some others, like Oliver and Boko, understand what they're doing. And pretty soon, they were getting along just fine. That afternoon, Duck and Gator were talking to each other in the yard as Tom had arrived to see them. Henry was meant to pull a goods train all the way to Vickerstown, but unfortunately he has broken down. Do you think you two can help? Yes, sir, replied Gator. I'll be at the back. And you'll be the front, Montague. Yes, Gerald. As the goods train was ready, Gator was at the back while Duck was at the front, and together they set off. Duck pulled and Gator pushed, but they never stop or give up. Duck round the bend, and he pulled and pulled and pulled, but he pulled too hard that one of his pistons broke. He came to a complete halt and stopped. What happened? Asked Gator. One of my pistons popped, replied Duck. I can't go any further. Maybe I can push you along with this train all the way to Vickerstown then. But Duck wasn't so sure. Are you sure, Gerald? This train is quite heavy, and I'm quite heavy myself too. But I had to try, so Tom has waiting for us at Vickerstown, and this train cannot be late. So Gator began to push, and his wheels dug into the rails, and he managed to get Duck and the train out of Knapford Junction and arrived at Vickerstown Station on time where Sir Tom Hat was waiting. He was very pleased to see them. As nighttime came by, Duck was getting his piston fixed at the Soda Steamworks, and Gator decided to stay with him overnight until he gets all fixed up. Gerald, said Duck, thank you for everything. No problem, replied Gator, but you can call me Gator if you want. I did like being called Gerald for one day, but I think I'll go back to being called Gator. Same with me for Duck, added Duck. The two engines laughed, feeling very happy that they made a good friend.